You hear that sound? That slow scraping of metal on metal. That's the last thing you'll hear before she finds you. I'm not here to tell you a bedtime story. What I'm about to share happened to real people, people who thought they were safe. In 2026, we scroll past horror stories every day, creepypastas, Reddit threads, but some legends refuse to die. They evolve. Her name is Kuchisake-Onna, the Slit-Mouthed Woman. And if you see her tonight, you need to remember 3 words: never say yes. This legend started in 1979 Japan. Kids refused to walk home alone. Schools closed early. Entire neighborhoods went into lockdown. Back then, people said she was a ghost, a samurai's wife disfigured centuries ago. But here's the thing, the story changed. In the 2020s, she's not some ancient spirit. She's the victim of a botched cosmetic surgery, a woman who wanted perfection. The doctor didn't slip. He carved her smile wider, on purpose, ear to ear, because she asked him to make her beautiful forever. Now she walks the streets at night, asking strangers the same question: am I beautiful? And your answer decides everything. Before we go further, you need to understand the rules. These aren't suggestions. People who ignored them, they're gone. Rule 1. If you see her, she's already 100 meters away. If you blink, she's 10 meters closer. Don't blink twice. Rule 2. Never say no. Never say yes. You have to answer average. It confuses her. Buys you maybe 30 seconds. Rule 3. She hates certain smells. Disinfectant, hair pomade. But if you smell burnt sugar, she's already inside your home. Rule 4. Don't try to film her. Your phone will die. Or worse, she'll appear in every photo you've ever taken. Rule 5. She can't enter brightly lit public spaces, convenience stores, train stations, but she'll wait outside, forever if she has to. Now let me tell you about someone who learned these rules too late. His name was David, English teacher, Tokyo. It was 2 a.m. when he left work. The subway had stopped running. He thought a 15-minute walk home would be fine. But the streets felt wrong that night. You know that feeling? When familiar places suddenly look like nowhere you've been before. The vending machines buzzed too loud. The convenience store lights flickered in a pattern. And then David heard footsteps behind him. He stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. Perfect sync. Like whatever was behind him existed only when he moved. David pulled out his phone to call someone. Anyone. But when the screen lit up, he saw her reflection behind him. She stood maybe 50 meters back. Beige trench coat, white mask covering half her face, and eyes that curved into crescents. Smiling eyes. That's what made it worse. Not threatening, not angry, just this innocent, childlike expression asking for validation. David remembered reading about her online. The rules, the candy trick. He had grape candies in his pocket from earlier. He turned around slowly. She was still there, still smiling with those eyes. And then she spoke in perfect, gentle Japanese. Watashi, kirei? Her voice was soft, almost childlike. But underneath it, David heard something else, a wet, rasping echo. Then came the English whisper, layered over the Japanese, like two voices speaking through the same mouth. Am I beautiful? Every nerve in David's body screamed, run, but he remembered rule 2. Never say no, never say yes, never run. His hand dove into his pocket, fingers fumbling past his keys, his wallet, until he felt the crinkle of candy wrappers. He pulled out 3 pieces, grape candies. The internet said any candy works. The sweetness confuses her, triggers some old memory. David's voice cracked when he spoke. Average, you look, average. Then he threw the candies at her feet, hard. She tilted her head. Slowly, like a confused dog, her crescent eyes didn't blink. She just stared at the candies on the ground. For 5 seconds, nothing happened. David could hear his own heartbeat, the hum of the vending machine, a distant car alarm. Then the streetlights flickered. The screen on David's phone glitched with VHS static, and when he looked up, she was gone. Just gone. The candies still on the pavement, the street empty, like she'd never existed. David let out a breath he didn't know he'd held. He started walking, not running. Rule said don't run, but his pace was fast. Eyes forward. Don't look back. Don't look back. 2 blocks. He made it 2 blocks. The apartment was just ahead. Yellow light in the lobby window. Safety. Civilization. Witnesses. That's when he heard it. Not footsteps. Something worse. A sound like scissors opening and closing. Snip, snip, snip. The sound was behind him, close. But when David spun around, the street was empty. Just parked cars, closed shops, nothing. He turned back toward his apartment and froze. She was standing directly in front of him, 5 meters away. Impossible. Rule 1 said, she moves when you blink. David's eyes were wide open. He hadn't blinked. Yet she'd crossed 50 meters in seconds. Her hand reached up, slowly pulled down the surgical mask, and David saw what was underneath, what the surgery had done. The smile carved from ear to ear. Not metaphorical, literal surgical cuts, healed wrong, stitches still visible, a permanent grin. David didn't scream. His body went into pure survival mode. He ran. Forget the rules. Forget everything. Just run. Behind him, that sound again, but faster now. Pop, pop, pop. Not running. Teleporting. Each sound brought her closer. David glanced back. Mistake. She was 20 meters away. He blinked. She was 10 meters. Blinked again. 5. There. A Family Mart. Lights blazing, pop music playing through outdoor speakers. David crashed through the automatic doors, gasping. Inside was safe, bright, normal. A tired cashier stocking cigarettes. A drunk salaryman buying ramen. Humanity, witnesses, light. David turned to look through the window. She stood outside under the streetlight, perfectly still, mask back on, just watching. Rule 5 was real. She couldn't enter bright public spaces. But as David stood there shaking, he noticed something horrible. The cashier was staring at him. Not concerned, not confused, just staring. And the cashier was wearing a white mask too. David's blood went cold. Different mask. Blue, not white. Standard COVID mask. Normal. But for a second, his mind twisted it. The cashier reached up, pulled down the mask. Just a normal guy. Tired eyes, stubble. He spoke in Japanese. "Sir, are you okay?" David looked back outside. She was still there, not moving, not blinking, like a mannequin someone placed on the street as a prank. The cashier followed David's gaze, looked right at her, then back at David. "Sir, there's nobody outside. Do you need me to call someone?" "Wait." The cashier couldn't see her? David looked again. She was absolutely there. Coat, mask, crescent eyes locked on him. Only he could see her. That's when David understood. She wasn't chasing just anyone anymore. She'd chosen him specifically. The store had a back exit, delivery entrance. David spotted the sign. He mumbled an apology to the cashier and moved. Through the aisles, past the instant noodles and energy drinks, The back door had one of those push-bar exits. Emergency only. David slammed through it. Alarm shrieking. Out into an alley. Wet cardboard boxes. Dumpsters. The smell of old cooking oil. He ran. Took 3 turns without thinking. Left, right, left again. Until he didn't recognize where he was anymore. Finally, David stopped. Bent over. Hands on knees. Gasping. No sound behind him. No scissors. No footsteps. Nothing. He pulled out his phone. GPS still worked. He was only 4 blocks from home. Different route, but doable. Just keep moving. David walked the rest of the way, checking every shadow, every parked car, every reflection in shop windows. But she didn't appear. His apartment building. Finally. Yellow lobby lights. Security camera. His mailbox. Real. Solid. Safe. David's hands shook, unlocking the entrance. He took the stairs. Didn't trust the elevator. Something about enclosed spaces felt wrong tonight. Climbed 5 flights without stopping. His door. 5B. David fumbled with keys. Dropped them once. Picked them up. Finally got the door open. Slammed it behind him. 3 locks. Chain. Deadbolt. Handle lock. He secured them all. Then checked every room. Closet. Bathroom. Under the bed. Nothing. David pulled all the curtains closed. Even though he was 5 floors up. Even though nobody could see in. He needed barriers. His phone buzzed. Text from his coworker. You left your laptop. Everything okay? David stared at the screen. When did he leave? 2 hours. He'd lost 2 hours somewhere between the office and home. It should have been a 15-minute walk. What happened? David opened his browser. Searched Kuchisake-Onna survival. Reddit threads loaded. Old forum posts. Some from this week. Some from yesterday. One comment stood out. If you saw her, you're tagged now. She moves through distances you can't measure. Check your mirrors. David looked up. His bathroom door was open. The mirror inside reflected his bedroom. He could see himself sitting at the desk. Everything looked normal. He looked normal. Just a scared guy reading horror stories at 4 a.m. Nothing wrong. Nothing at all. But then David noticed something in the mirror. Behind his reflection. The bathroom. The shower curtain was moving. Slightly. Breathing. He stood up. Slowly. Walked toward the bathroom. The curtain stopped moving. Everything silent, except the hum of his refrigerator. David reached out. Grabbed the curtain edge. Counted to 3 in his head. Yanked it open. Empty. Just his shampoo bottles. He laughed. Actually laughed. The stress was making him paranoid. There was nothing here. She couldn't have followed him inside. Impossible. David decided to wash his face. Ground himself. Cold water. Reality. He turned on the faucet. Leaned down. Splashed water on his eyes. When he looked up at the mirror, his reflection looked back. Normal. He looked down again. Splashed more water. Everything was fine. But when David raised his head the second time, something was different. His reflection's mouth. The corners were darker. Wet. He touched his own face. His fingers came back red. Not water. Blood. His mouth was bleeding from the corners. Both sides. David looked back at the mirror. The cuts were spreading. Slowly, like invisible scissors were carving through his cheeks, ear to ear. It didn't hurt. That was the worst part. No pain. Just the sensation of his face opening, like unzipping a jacket. Wrong. So wrong. He tried to scream, but his mouth wouldn't close properly anymore. The smile was permanent now, carved into him, just like hers. David stumbled backward, hit the bathroom wall, slid down to the floor. His phone was on the sink. He could see the screen glowing. The front camera had turned on by itself. It was recording him, and in the phone's screen, he saw what he'd become. The same crescent eyes, the same carved smile, the same question forming in his throat. Am I beautiful? But in his own voice. Then David understood the real horror. She doesn't just attack you. She doesn't kill you. She spreads, like a virus, through faces. That Reddit post was right. Anyone who sees her becomes her. Every victim creates another Kuchisake-Onna, hunting, asking, carving smiles. David's phone screen went black. Then text appeared, not typed by him, white letters on black. Thank you for sharing my face. That story was posted to a Tokyo forum in 2025. User account name was David Teaches. He never logged in again after that night. But his account? Still active. Last seen, online now, every single day, at 2 a.m. Tokyo time, posting the same question repeatedly. Here's what you need to understand. Kuchisake-Onna isn't just in Japan anymore. She spread through stories, through screens, through you watching this. Some legends survive because they're warnings. Others survive because they're contagious. Now you know her face, her question, her rules. So let me ask you something. If you're walking home tonight and see a woman in a surgical mask asking if she's beautiful, what will you answer? Think carefully, because your answer might be the last words you say with your original mouth. Drop your answer in the comments, but choose your words carefully. Some say she reads them. Some say typing the wrong answer is enough. Subscribe for next week's survival guide, the Teke. And remember, if you hear scissors behind you tonight, don't turn around.